We are here. We are here now for the weekly Python exercise webinar. We'll see how many people show up. Hopefully a bunch with lots of good questions. Oh, I have the waiting room. I'm going to turn that off. Settings. Hello there. Welcome. I am just going to try to set things up so there is no more waiting room. I don't remember. I just had that option yesterday. Let's see. Oh, more in the waiting room that I need to admit. I gotta turn that off. Ah, there it is. There it is. In the participants panel. There it is. I knew it had to be somewhere more. Turn it off. Fantastic. Hello there. Welcome to both of you. So I guess you know I'm Reuven. Welcome. This is a super informal session. I don't know how many people are going to show up. I'm glad that you two are here. And the basic idea is to explain and maybe answer any questions, not even maybe, answer any questions you might have about weekly Python exercise, or in general, if there are things that I can answer for you, it would be my pleasure. And if you're just here to sort of listen in to what other people are asking, also okay. I have experience talking when no one else wants to. So can I answer any questions you might have? You can even tell me where you're from, maybe. You can put that in the chat if you want. So welcome. You know, I have 3 people here. All right, well, if people can tell me where they're from, maybe you can put that in the chat as well. And I'm just here to answer questions. I'll wait another few minutes. Officially, we're starting another 30 seconds. So I'll wait a few more minutes to really start with a more formal maybe introduction of what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be doing it. But you don't have to hold back if you have questions already. My pleasure, if you need. Yeah. All right. I know, but people are at least interested. We'll see how many show up and so forth. All right. Well, it is the official time that more or less that we were supposed to start. So once again, I will tell you, I guess you know this already, I'm Reuven. I've been doing Python training for quite some time. I know I've been teaching Python for more than 20 years, but I've really only been doing it full time for about 10 years, 15 years now. Only, haha. So basically the story behind weekly Python exercise is that when I teach a class, very, very often the participants ask me afterwards, so now that we've learned these things, how do we practice them? How do we keep our skills sharp? And so I've developed weekly Python exercises. Now it's 3rd or 4th year, I think. And I've changed it around a little bit. I've moved things around. It's not exactly the same as it was. I'm still always trying to find new ways to improve it and change it so that it can really serve people better. And the cohort that's coming up, let me see how many people we're going to have. Right now, it looks like, if I remember correctly, about 100, 150 people. Let me just see this. It's not exact just yet. So it's going to be, oh, sorry, forgot to do that. That's what happens when you're doing database queries on the spot, live coding and everything. There we go. So it's going to be, it looks like about 200 people in the cohort. So that should be really nice. And the basic idea is that each Tuesday you get email. It's mostly an email-based course. I guess you could say a mixed medium course. So the questions and the answers come to you via email, just like the Better Developers newsletter. So on Tuesday, you will get a question for 15 weeks. And the idea is that you get the question, you get it along with PyTest tests. Occasionally there are no tests, but for the most part there are tests there. And you are supposed to sort of try to solve the problem. For some people, it takes 10 minutes. For some people, it takes 2 hours. I aim to have it take about 45 minutes, an hour at most. And it's sort of hard to know because, of course, everyone comes from different backgrounds. And I'll get to the sort of backgrounds and the content and everything in just a bit. You then have close to a week to actually solve it. And I've played with that over the years as well. It used to be that you would get the problem on Monday and you get the solution on Friday, but people said they wanted the weekend, they wanted extra time to actually solve it. So you get the problem on Tuesday, you get the solution on Monday, and the solution includes a thorough explanation. And in between, or before or after, we also have a forum in which people can talk about their problems. And it's become kind of a tradition for not everyone, usually like 10, 20 people or so per cohort, to share their code with others in the forum, and then other people can comment, and you get a lot of help from the community, not just from me. If you need, I usually check in certainly a few times a week, and I try to answer questions. Sometimes I'm better than others. I think I've been getting better and better over the last few years, like sort of the last few months, years, and answer questions that people need. And the idea is then once a month I have sort of just like this, office hours where people can ask me questions either about the practice exercises or about anything else in Python. I really try to keep it as open as possible. I'm not going to restrict people from asking things just because it's not about an exercise. And I'll add, this is going to be what I call B3. And I know I need to improve the naming on this a lot. Okay, I'm a developer, I'm an instructor, I'm not a good marketer. Regardless, the idea is that the B series, so B1, B2, B3, it's like a grab bag of intermediate/advanced level Python problems. And it's really hard to describe what is intermediate or advanced. So here's how I describe it. It's for people who have come out of my advanced courses. So if you've taken, and I'm guessing most of you have not, taken my corporate training classes in Python and have come through my advanced class, then the problems are similar to and a little more difficult than what I would give in class, so that it forces you to do a little more thinking. I just got email today from someone who was just in the latest cohort. He said, listen, this is, you say it's advanced, it's a little easy for me. My hope is that, I don't know if I'll be able to do it this cohort, but I'm going to start trying to add some like optional additional stuff to the B series as well to push people a little more if they really want. I don't know if there's time for me to get to that. I'm going to probably get to it at least partly through this cohort. And this is sort of give and take that I'm always trying to do. So I generally define the B series. Let me go back. So the A series, A1, A2, A3 of Weekly Python Exercise, is for people who are beginners who just came out of a beginner course. They want to practice roughly the same level as people who've read my book. And those are sort of topic defined. So A1 is about data structures, A2 is about functions, and A3 is about objects. The B series is a grab bag. It's a free-for-all, and it's all supposed to be for, as I said, people who have gone through an advanced course, maybe have about a year of experience or more. And so sometimes it'll be generators, sometimes it'll be iterators, sometimes it'll be object-oriented stuff, sometimes it'll be decorators, sometimes we'll throw in some threads or some multiprocessing. I try to mix it up quite a bit. So we're not going to get to all topics in all cohorts, but the idea is that every week for 15 weeks, you'll get a problem, be able to solve the problem, talk about it with others, and in all these different directions, all these different ways, hopefully improve your Python fluency and your ability to solve new problems. There are also people who simply have not been exposed to other ideas in Python, and so Weekly Python Exercise gives them a chance to learn those other things and to join those other things. So that's my marketing pitch, such as it is. I would be delighted to answer any questions people have if things are not clear, if you missed the first part of what I was saying, if you just have questions in general. Personal questions too, not too personal, but I'm very happy to answer any questions you might have. And if you're embarrassed to speak for whatever reason, you can always put it in the chat. I'm always happy to answer whatever questions people have.
Yes, hi, good morning from California. My name is William. I am just wondering, I came in about 2 minutes late, perhaps. I just wanted to know, what is your ideal cohort size when you do, I'm here because I want to do the A1 in January, just start from the beginning. And I don't know if I'm going to be in a group of like 60 people and may not be heard, or it's a group of 8 people where we get to know each other over the course of the session.
So I'll first tell you that I don't know, and I'll tell you why, and then I'll tell you what's actually happened in my experience. So the reason I don't know is that some of you might have also signed up for some of my courses via the Humble Bundle special that I ran along with a bunch of other Python instructors back in, I think it was July. Yeah, it was July. And a crazy large number of people signed up for my courses based on that, which is of course a good thing. That was the part, that was the point of doing it. So in the past, the largest cohorts that I've had have been about 100 people. It looks like they're now going to be about 200 people or so. I mean, ideally, I actually don't think it would be a problem for me to even have 500 people in the cohort. And I'll tell you why. First of all, because much as I would want everyone to participate in the forum and help each other out and talk to each other, the fact is that it's usually a handful of people. I would say at most about 20 people in any given cohort who are sharing their code, responding to code, asking me questions. I have been trying to get better, and I think I'm getting better about answering questions relatively quickly in the forum when people ask me directly. But even when I don't, and I'm doing better on that, even when I don't, other people often pick up the gauntlet and answer. I think it's good to get a lot of different answers as well. We are not even close to the point where someone asks a question that's completely ignored. If I don't get to it right away, other people do, and then I often chime in. I just responded to something like yesterday or 2 days ago that was asked about 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and someone else had responded. I came in with a fuller answer. So I don't think you'll get lost. I've often said I would love to have a cohort of even like 500 people, which is very nice for me as a business owner, right, as an instructor. But I would want to keep it the same level of intimacy, same level of participation, same level of being able to identify people, and not just, oh yeah, it's another name on the page. I'll add that the forum software that we use, Discourse, is amazing. If you've never used Discourse before, there was a pair of developers who started Stack Overflow, and I'm, of course, totally blanking on his name, coding hard, Jeff. Let's see, what is his name? I can't believe it. Jeff Atwood. Jeff Atwood. So he basically left Stack Overflow and he said, okay, it's time to solve another problem on the web. Forums are terrible. I'm going to make a good forum. And everyone kind of rolled their eyes and said, yeah, no one can make a good web forum. I promise you, Discourse is amazing. And it sort of pulls you in and sends email when someone mentions you. The interface is really nice. And what we do is when people post their code, I'll show you how to like Greek it, how to like fight it, so that like a spoiler tag, so that people won't see it unless they want to. So long, that was a long way of saying I don't know for sure, but I don't think it'll get lost in the shuffle.
All right, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Other questions I can maybe answer for people?
Oh, actually, this is William again. I have one more question.
Excellent.
Something that I would be eager to dive into. Actually, by the way, was looking at your Git course a couple of days ago. I'd like to get plugged into that eventually, but I'm more interested in learning a good development environment. Is PyCharm or anything like that part of the training?
So the answer is, of course, once again, yes and no. That's my favorite answer when teaching. So it's not part of the training per se, in that I let everyone sort of figure out what their development environment is on their own. That said, I can try to help you get set up. I'm happy to do that. So my personal story is I'm an old dinosaur, maybe a young dinosaur. And so back in the fall of 1988, when I started college, I was introduced to Emacs, and you will have to pry out of my cold, dead hands. It is just the most marvelous, amazingly sophisticated editor you would ever use. However, the learning curve is really, really steep, especially for people who have any experience with another sort of editor. And for years now, I've suggested that people use PyCharm. PyCharm is free in the community edition, at least. It has tons of features and functionality built in, like right out of the box. It takes a little bit of experience or a little bit of like training to get used to the fact that it does things in a virtual environment. So if you want to add a module, if like you install something with pip, you have to add it explicitly into PyCharm. But you can get around that. It's not so terrible, and I'm obviously happy to help you with that. I last week started to teach at a company where they use VS Code, Microsoft's entry into this area. And I literally never used it before, but I heard wonderful things about it. And so I've been trying it out to sort of demonstrate to my students, and I'm very impressed with that as well. So I would say either PyCharm or VS Code if you want to go something popular and free and powerful. And you can't go wrong with any of those. And if you end up moving from one editor to another, from one development environment to another, you will be normal and reasonable. And that's what an awful lot of people do.
All right, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Other questions I can maybe answer for people? Ah, it's one of those groups where people tune in to find out what other people are asking. I see, I see. So, the just to sort of run through it again, and maybe add some information. Um, I know there are, and I even know the people who run other exercise programs out there. Let's say Python exercise programs out there, right? Python morsels, and PyBites. We're all friends. We get together. I guess what's it called, like co-opetition. When there's a PyCon, we get together. We know each other. We like each other. And respect each other a lot. And everyone has their own different take on exercises. So mine tend to be a bit shorter. Mine tend to have to do with a particular, like, trying to make a point. Like, you should know how to do X, you should know how to do Y, and you're going to use it for that. With the B series of exercises, I tend to give fewer hints as to how you're going to want to do it. Like, I'll say you should create a generator function here, but I'm not going to tell you how to go do a generator function. And whereas in the A series, with the beginner series, I sort of point people in the direction of where they can find it. I expect people in the B series are going to be willing to dig a little more and do a little more on their own to sort of figure it out. Make you work a bit. Um, and one of the things that I do that's different from them is that I do it in sync, in a timed community. That's to say, if you sign up for PyBites, if you sign up for Python Morsels, you can sort of do it on your own. And there is a community aspect to it, at least in PyBites. But I really feel strongly, and I feel strongly both pedagogically and through experience, that I think it's a really good, important thing to have people doing it the same week, sort of sweating it out together, helping each other, talking to each other about it. When I first started weekly Python exercise, um, it was an open-ended system, and so you would sign up and you get exercise 1, then you get 2 and 3. And if someone signed up a month after you, they'd get 1, then 2, then 3. And that's fine in general, except that then you go to the forum is completely empty. And so this way you have people sort of working on it together, not exactly pair programming, although do encourage people to do that if they can. We've never really found, maybe we have enough of a critical mass now for people to do that. I think pair programming is a fantastic way to learn. And so the idea is that the combination of different pedagogical aspects, whether it's the problem description, the tests in PyTest, the discussion in the forum, the answer, obviously, solution with the detailed description, or the office hours, all that together hopefully will give you more insights into how to use Python better, new techniques that you might not have been aware of before. And I know that, what was I going to say? I don't know. I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh, here we have a question from Jonah. My microphone is on the fritz. That's okay. Well, I understand. I do this all the time, and like, boy, oh boy, the number of problems that people have with cameras, microphones nowadays, and go try to find one, right? I use PyBites, which are pretty good. You're pretty answering my question now as to how your exercise is different from PyBites. Sounds like you're taking a collaborative approach. So I encourage a collaborative approach, right? I can't force you. So I would say out of each cohort, as I said, up to 15, 20 people actually participate in the forum. Usually it's fewer than that. And you'll always have some more dominant, less dominant people who are participating and sort of contributing. But I think it's really good to be able to see different people's solutions. And also as they struggle through it, I'm trying to do this, but it's not working. What do you think? I really like that. I think it's also useful when you're encountering a problem. The moment that you have to describe it in detail, you often come upon the solution. So this happens to be all the time, whether I'm teaching my corporate training or even in the house with my family members. So they'll say, oh, something's not working with the computer. I'll say, oh, show me. And then, of course, I come over, they show me, and it works perfectly. And I joke that, oh, it's my influence, my magnetic personality is changing the, whatever, the circuitry. But actually, I think what's happening is that when you're forced to describe a problem, you're forced to articulate it, and then you will often figure it out more easily. And so by having people collaborate, I hope to facilitate that sort of thinking as well. Other questions I can maybe answer from people? So I'll add meanwhile, as I said before, it's hard to know how much time. Like I always say, the advanced courses I teach are the hardest courses I teach. I don't mean hard in terms of difficulty, although that's true also, but it's hard to know, what is an advanced Python program? So I've tried to come up with more concrete definitions, like if you've been using Python for a year, but there are people who've been using it for a year and are super crazy, ridiculously expert. And there are some people who use it for a year, I kid you not, and they come to my intro course, and they roll their eyes because they're like, oh, what could I possibly learn in an intro course because I've been using Python for a year in my day-to-day job. And they discovered that all they were doing was copying and pasting from Stack Overflow. So like, and they didn't really understand what they were doing, and they didn't understand why things did not work. So I, I hope it's for people who are not like, they already know the basic data structures, they already know how to write functions, they already know some basic objects, but let's push beyond that. Let's see what sorts of fun stuff can we do with functions, like nested functions. What can we do with generators and iterators? Can we add iteration easily to a class? How can we use inheritance in different ways to spread functionality? In many ways, it's, I would say, half the ideas and half the techniques that I'm trying to get across in this course. Any other questions I could maybe answer from people? Um, here we go. For collaborative learning, is there more live interact sessions or more offline communication? How do you manage time zones? Oh, great question. So that's also from Jonah there. Um, so it all is done in what would be called, what's called in the you know, online education biz as asynchronous as opposed to synchronous education, which is a terrible way of describing it, but I'll use that term anyway to show off. Basically, there is no live interaction, no live collaboration, except for the office hours. And even then, I know that there are people who cannot make it. It's too late for people in Australia. It's usually around this time. Usually I try to make it around 6 in the evening Israel time. It's typically after I'm done teaching people in Israel or in Europe. And it's late enough for people in California, early enough for people in India. It's like not the best for everyone, but it's as good as I can get and not go totally crazy myself. And I've tried other times and they don't work as well. So during the office hours, it's live, even though recording is available. But other than that, it's all done via email in the forum. So the email is timed to arrive sort of like with a Better Developers List at 11 a.m. on your Tuesday or on your Monday. So like whatever time zone you're in, assuming it is registered with my email system, and it should happen like automatically just through your browser. So 11 a.m. on Tuesday, you'll get the new problem. 11 a.m. on Monday, you'll get the new solution. Sometimes people complain that people in New Zealand and Australia are, they have an unfair advantage, but there's nothing I can do about that. And the forum then basically just works all the time. So you can be contacting the forum, at all, whatever you want. All right, another question here. I'm going to try to pronounce your name, and I'm terribly sorry if I get it wrong. So Oyendamola. So he asks, does this training involve building products for a portfolio? How does it affect portfolio building? No, it's not really that kind of course. I have gotten a growing number of requests from people over the last 6 to 8 months who want me to do a course that is like building a portfolio, building a larger project. And I tend not to do very many large projects. It's a lot of small projects. There are always in every cohort, I think there is in this one, let me just like pull up my list of what I got there to take a look. Oh, no, not there. There. Yes, there is one project that's split across several weeks. So I always try to do that, and people really tend to like that quite a lot. That basically, each week you build on what you did before, but I wouldn't really call it a project for a portfolio. I'm seriously considering doing that sort of thing because people have asked me to do it, but I'll have to give it a little more thought. I'll also tell you that I'm talking to Manning, who published my book, about doing what they call live projects. I actually owe them a proposal for a new book, proposal for that. And so I'm playing with some ideas already for sort of meatier, larger projects that people can put together and feel like, yeah, I've developed a full application. So that is a hole in this. There's a hole in my sort of training, my training portfolio, as it were. Yeah. Any other questions people might have? Don't be embarrassed.
Hey, this is William again. Hi. I haven't checked your lineup, but do you have A1, A2, A3, and so on occurring back to back throughout the calendar year? So we can just flow from one to the other?
More or less, yeah. I usually have like 2 weeks of break between each one. So I'll tell you, like I started doing I started doing weekly Python exercise, as I said, like open ended. And then I said, okay, this is not working. Let's do it in a year-long cohort. And what I found was that at like week 30 or so, people were really tired. And they were just like not participating as much. So that's why I decided to break it up into 15-week cohorts. How did I come up with 15? Well, finger in the air. Yeah, this seems right. And so far, it's worked pretty well. So what happens is A1 starts, I don't know, it's going to start like early January or something. I forget exactly when. I'll check my calendar here, like January 5th or so. Yeah, there we go. January 5th, A1 exercise 1 is scheduled. And it'll go for 15 weeks, 2 weeks off, and then A2, and then another 2 weeks off, more or less, and A3. I sometimes add a little bit of time just to like get around summer vacation, say, because I know a lot of people during July and August have a little less time. But that's about it. And it does. I realize this is kind of annoying for some people, but it goes through whatever holidays you've got because the number of different holidays in different countries is just more or less impossible for me to keep track of. So if you don't like your family, this is a perfect way to learn Python.
Great.
Any
Thank you
other
very much.
questions? Oh, my pleasure. My great pleasure. Anything else maybe I can help people with? Also add, so sometimes people aren't sure, like, is the B series really appropriate for me? Like, am I advanced enough to do it? And I'll give two answers to that. Answer number one is that if you find like it's like way too hard, I'm happy to switch you into an A-level cohort later on. Like if in like the first 2, 3 weeks you realize that's going on, I'll switch you. It's not a problem. I've done this with people more or less every cohort that has happened. At the same time, I also have people who are like, well, I don't really know much Python, but I am willing to put in the work. And so they dig and they read and they experiment and they get through it. It takes them, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes to do an exercise, but they feel like they've really learned a lot. So this is an infrastructure, or as people like to say nowadays, a platform that you can use. And if it helps you to learn, I'm game. And if I can help you figure out what is best in terms of using the platform, all the better. Any other questions maybe I can answer for people? All right. Excellent. See you in January, Will. All right. Well, I'm here. I'll hang out here for a bit longer. If people have more questions, want to know more things, if things are not clear, I do try to keep this like super, super simple. That is to say, I don't want to be like fancy bells and whistles. So we'll take it from there. Excellent, excellent. Happy that it was helpful for some of you, maybe even all of you. And I see now the corner of my eye here, Eric, I got your email. I'll add you to the forum. This happens every time. Some people are like, you know what often happens? I think, Eric, you were in a previous cohort. And
Yes, I was.
so
Yeah.
there you go. So
Yeah.
what happens is the Discourse software, when I add people en masse to a new cohort, it doesn't send invites to people who were in one before. And I try to spot that manually, but I
Mhm.
don't always manage to do that. And usually people complain. So it's good that you're complaining, just like, oh well, sorry. Sorry it took this while. It took a
Yeah.
while.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, sure. My pleasure. Anyone else? Thoughts, questions, problems maybe I can solve? Not sure if it's right for you. You need a fancier marketing pitch. All right. Well, it starts a week from today. That is to say, on Tuesday, the 27th. I personally do absolutely everything at the last minute, which is a terrible, terrible habit, but I do. And so I try to cut off the registration like the day before because there are some things that I need to set up and like get ready and like start sending out. But you can join on the 27th as well, or even a day or two late. Don't tell anyone I said that. And if you're not sure, if you're debating whether it's worth it for you, please don't hesitate to be in touch with me on email, on Twitter, whatever would make sense for you. And I can try to negotiate with you and figure out if it's the right sort of thing for you to work on. But hopefully the plan is everyone gets to improve their Python, learns more, gets challenged and improves their fluency so they can solve more and more problems. And again, like my experience is that people who go through the weekly Python exercise cohorts, they do learn, they do enjoy, and they do get better. So I'm hoping that'll be true for some or all of you as well. All right, last chance for questions, and then if not, I think we will sign off. Okay, well, thank you all for joining me. I hope to see you in the cohort, and if not, in a future cohort. And if not, I hope you enjoy the videos, my newsletter, all that other stuff that I try to put out and help everyone with. So enjoy, all the best, and stay safe out there, right? Okay, bye for now, and see you soon.